Hello, hello. Thank you for joining us here on Media Queen TV, our 2025 series, episode 5. We are chatting today with our frequency facilitators, in fact, launching our frequency facilitators, playing with paradigms. We have the amazing Haleigh Overseth from South Dakota. We have Alecia Maximo from Ottawa, Canada, and Murray Angel from Brisbane, Australia. And I'm joining you today from the Sunshine Coast in Australia. My name's Alden Altenay. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you so much for joining us. A little bit about our guests before we chat about this very hot topic. And we do invite you to interact with us wherever you're viewing from. So feel free to do that as we're going along today. All right, firstly, let's introduce Alecia. We have Alecia at the top there. She is a global muse, a relationship alchemist and brand developer devoted to awakening what's real and resonant in people, partnerships, and purpose-driven ventures. She guides creators, thought leaders, and paradigm shifters in aligning their voice, vision, and vibration, not just through strategy, but through soul. As the voice behind the Venora Effect and co-creator of Global Impact Ventures, she believes presence is the brand, and when we lead from frequency, everything else aligns. Absolutely love that. And it's very late for Alecia tonight in Canada, so really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much.
From there. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. And Haleigh Overseth. Now, Haleigh is a writer first and forever, known for her vibrant, soul-rich storytelling that blends humor, heart, and higher consciousness. She's the creative director and founder of Frankieverse Media and Frankie's podcast network, where she builds strange, sparkly worlds across podcasts, fiction, and multimedia projects. As an intuitive frequency artist, Haleigh channels playful wisdom and cosmic insight into every project she touches. And expect mischief, meaning, and multiverse leveling up today as we chat with Haleigh. Very, very cool. Welcome, Haleigh. And thank you so much for joining us, and also late for you tonight over in the US. So thank you for joining us late at night there. And Murray is coming from Sydney today. Murray's based in Brisbane, normally on his way to the US to connect with Haleigh and Alecia. So very excited for your journey forward. And Murray is an energy facilitator, a soul igniter, and podcast host with the Frankie's Podcast Network family. He guides souls home to their purpose through conscious embodiment, as well as hosting About Intelligence and co-hosting FPN and the Venora Effect, FPN being Frankie's Podcast Network. If you're seeking to remember why you're here and feel ready to share your unique story through our global network, Murray would love to connect with you. Every willing heart has wisdom worth sharing, he says. Absolutely. Welcome, Murray. So great to have you all here. And I've been on all of your shows and I love what you all do. And you've got such a beautiful energy between you. So I really, really love your brand frequency facilitators. Can you share firstly how you all came to meet and how this beautiful relationship has developed for you? Who'd like to share?
Well, that's kind of a fun story. I know. Where do we start? I mean, I met Alecia and Murray actually separately. I met Alecia through LinkedIn last year, and we ended up being able to meet in person because I traveled to near where she was in Arlington, Virginia. And Murray, I met through another podcast adventure that we were both kind of following. So I kind of met them separately, and then we all sort of like started we're on the same frequency. So it was natural for us to start spending time together and blending our projects together. They synergize so well.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You definitely have a great energy, and you're also beautiful the way you go with the flow with things. Now, we are in the shadow of Mercury retrograde right now, and I have had all sorts of tech issues before we went live today, and you guys just flowed with it beautifully, and you were so great about it. Whereas, some people get very worked up about any slight change of plan that might happen from, what you might have been wanting. And whereas I love the way that you flow with whatever goes on in life. And I think it's so important to have that peace within you, no matter what is going on in the world. And I think it's an ongoing challenge for a lot of people, including myself, to remain peaceful, when life throws curveballs.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think it's what wonderful is that all three of us have that in common where we've gone through stuff in the past, business, friendships, what have you. But I feel like now that we've learned how we operate together, it's very easy for us to go with the flow and not take anything too personally. So we really appreciate you admiring that, Alden, because um, I'm just grateful to find these wonderful people like Haleigh and Marie as their beautiful selves to be accepted in that state of, okay, these people are, basically the same as me as far as going with the flow. So really appreciate you pointing that out. Because you're right, a lot of people do they're very in there like such a rush to get things done or when things don't go their way. And I find as a natural human beings that we are in the way that the universe connected us all, going with the flow is the best possible solution, I would say. Going with the flow with action. Sometimes technology is not always on our side, but there's divine timing in everything. So we got you, Alden. Don't worry about it.
Thank you
I
so much.
agree. I agree with
Yes.
you, Alecia, so deeply on
Thank you.
that. And I think it's just a testament that three beings can come together from all different directions and clearly well diverse in our fields of expertise and purpose. And the fact that we come together with such a profound will and an effort to assert that will is, I think that's really what catalyzed us into this emotion, this journey that we're now on together. Because like we said, there's relationships, there's experiences, and there's all these types of things that come in from the 3D element of the world that we understand. And being a plane of materialism, you just have to figure it out what's right for you and what's not. And the only way to do that is to really just go with the flow and feel your way through things. And that's landed us in this really awesome experience now where we get to co-create together and bring a facet of multidimensionality to life. So yeah, I agree.
Well said.
Yes, thank you so much. And it's such a great topic today where we're chatting about paradigms. And when we look up the meaning of paradigm, it's a standard perspective or set of ideas. It's a way of looking at something. And the word paradigm actually comes up a lot in academic, scientific, and business words. So a new paradigm in business could mean a new way of reaching customers and making money, for example, right? That could be a paradigm. A typical example or pattern of something, a pattern or a model. And I think, looking at patterns and models, we often, I think as human beings, operate with a certain pattern, often without being conscious of it, right? And I am very conscious, for example, of patterns that I've run for years. Like I know I've often left things to the last minute, for example, which has put me in a state of sometimes high adrenaline. I know years of working in the media, 20 years of working in the media, for example, it's been go, 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 go. And it's kind of like I've known my life to be that way. And for me, it feels like an ongoing practice to shift that paradigm, to shift the paradigm of living in high adrenaline, of rushing around, doing things. I meditate daily. I do things like yoga. It's like an ongoing practice to shift the paradigm, even though I am conscious to that paradigm. So what advice would you give people that may be conscious or unconscious to the way that they do life or their current paradigm or version of reality, and how they could have a more empowered or more peaceful feeling around their current paradigm? Let's go to Haleigh, you want to chat first about that?
Well, I was going to say, I think one of the things, and Marie talks about it a lot, that, Alecia and I flow with well is the unconditionality that we prefer to hold, right? I mean, I think some of the paradigms that we have, it's one thing to be conscious and aware of it. That is a good thing, right? I think there is a paradigm right now that we are shifting, at least in the frequencies that we hold. There's a paradigm of fighting the flow because you're conscious of these particular paradigms, right? These things come up and you think, I need to fix that. I need to change that. I need to whatever. Well, that's not really going with the flow. You recognize it, you catch it. Okay, fine. But sometimes you're still going to be in that busy energy. Sometimes you're still going to be in a high octane energy. Sometimes you're still going to have procrastinative things come up or things shift. don't fight with yourself about that, because if everything is divinely orchestrated and timed, then even the things that feel like, oh, that's something I need to change about myself, maybe you don't necessarily need to change it in the sense of like, I need to, again, fight with myself to shift something. Don't fight with yourself. That's not the way to be in flow, right? Recognize it and recognize whether or not that energy that you're in is something that you can unconditionally allow for and also allow yourself to naturally shift out of, just as a natural frequency change.
That's a great way of looking at that. Because, like, for an example to add on to that for people to really grasp is, we could be doing big work days. You could be a truck driver, you could be in a hospital as a service provider and healer, and you could be anywhere. You could be in government working monumental hours with paperwork and back-end policy. And that could look like just finding yourself arriving in a space at home or where your location of presence is and going, I need to watch my favorite show. Sit down for a moment and be on the couch. That can be viewed in our current society that we're transferring out of as this conditioned, I have to oppose that and shift that and mold that to get back to this. And that really plays into what Haleigh's saying. And I want to bring that forward as an example there, because staying in that place and moving with that, the transition from moving into that show generally means that you've now recouped the energy, you've recentered, and you've returned to what's most important out of everything, the present moment, whatever that looks like unconditionally to anybody. And from that space, I speak from experience, great things occur, great strides happen, and we become thrivers again. When we don't adhere to this, we become burnt out strivers, holding onto something in a frequency, trying to maintain and upkeep that. And it really can be detrimental to not only our awareness of self and others, but our greater consciousness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also to bounce off what Haleigh and Murray stated, of course, to our audience, we are born into a world of rush and go, go, go and to-do list. And since we're born and going to kindergarten and on, so we are when we're born into this world with this consciousness of like, I can't rest, I have to keep going, I have to keep making money, I have to do this. There comes a time where you find your people or you attract a certain frequency of like, wait a second, there's other people not living this way. There's other people not rushing through life. There's other people out there that are not stressed about money and being on the go all the time. So I feel like it's really important to send both of that message out there of like, it's okay to slow down. You know, it's not your fault that you're have these that you're conditioned, your subconscious is conditioned to think this way and to act this way and to be always in a rush and have the anxiety and have that burnt out personality of I need to be doing all the things all the time and not rest, because if I don't rest, I'll get everything done. But we have to sit back and realize it's not our fault that we are in this conscious state. We're kind of born into it in the Western society that, society put this on this earth, but it's up to us as humans to make those connections and to look at the different opportunities and solutions of it's okay to breathe every once in a while. It's okay to sit down and just binge watch a TV show if you're feeling that frequency, right? But I feel like it's really important to take accountability of, you know, to understand that your subconscious and your conscious level at that state, you're born into that and it's regulated from you when you're since you're a younger being into now as a young adult or older adult. And it's okay to find the people out there to help shift that subconscious into a conscious state of being your authentic self and looking for your connection and your the people that want to connect with you to help change that frequency.
And the feedback loop for that is
Hmm.
self-awareness. And what comes from
Right.
self-awareness is presence, the gift, the now,
Hmm.
the eternal breath of what is and what will be. And really,
Hmm.
that's easy said. Trust me, that's so easy said than done. For most people, like, oh, just go to the present
Right.
moment while I'm being attacked by everything on an emotional, mental, physical, and psychological scale spiritually. So you do this through the apprehensions of what we just said. Build stepping stones, self-awareness of what's going on, a greater awareness of what's going on, and then using that in your conscious field to create the shifts where they align and where you feel best serves for you. It's a really individual process, and it can only be achieved through that collective understanding and moving in a more harmonized way, which I believe is what we're here to do with this frequency shift.
Yes, beautifully said. So what are some things you do on a day-to-day basis or a moment-by-moment basis to come back to the present moment, to actually be centered? Because, we have 60,000 thoughts a day, the average human being, right? We have, 98% of those thoughts are the same thoughts we had yesterday for most people, and 80% are negative thoughts for most people, right? So we've got 60,000 thoughts a day going on. Like I come back to the breath is one thing. However, I feel like I'm shifting in and out all the time of the thoughts going on, back to present moment, thoughts going on, back to present moment. So what are some tips you could give around that, or some things that you do to remain as present and in the now as possible?
I would say sorry, Haley. I was gonna say, I had the perfect example what happened to me today. I just realized that I have free will. Instead of dealing with a frequency or a certain energy that you don't want to deal with just because you're having these negative thoughts, I just picked myself up and I brought myself back home and got prepared to be on this amazing podcast. But it's more of stating of like, why am I sitting here dealing with this? I don't have to do this. And realizing you have free will to get up and move the body or take action and still align with that frequency, with the energy that you want to attract, or that you want to adopt those positive mindsets or those positive thoughts. So I would say meditating in the state of snapping back into my own reality that I'm creating for myself, of like, I don't need to deal with this. I have free will. I can get up and move and take action. I don't really need to sit here and dwell in this emotion or be in this emotional state. Yes, those thoughts still occur, but for me, in the way that my brain operates, of what I've been learning from Marie and Haley, of not staying in that feeling and staying in that frequency of like, snap out of it. I've gained so much momentum and I'm so proud of myself. I have free will to keep going. So I would say that's a common practice that I remind myself of, like, I'm not stuck in this society. I'm not stuck in these thoughts. Let me get out.
I love it.
Yeah. Mhm.
For me, it's really the playful creative thing. I really rock the like turning it into a story. How do I make this something that my characters would redefine differently? How
Mhm.
does this become something that in the multiverse, as the multidimensional being that I would be in my Frankieverse characters? How do I look at this inner dialogue that I'm having and reframe it in a way that's playful or curious or humorous, and maybe it seems silly, but you guys, maybe once in a while, imagine that you are an alien from another planet and that you're here trying to understand what this human experience is. However, you have to frame it. Like, get a little bit fun, have some fun with it. Like, whatever works best for you is always what's going to be the best thing to do. But for me, I really do like to get playful. And sometimes when I do that, like, it really does help me to center and become present, because I start looking around my current surroundings and thinking, what would I incorporate into my story that's happening right now? Right. So if my characters were here in my now, what would they be doing, and what conversation would we be having about this kind of inner dialogue? And how would that conversation shift my inner dialogue based on what I know my characters would be thinking? Right. And it does just sort of help me to shift myself into a different perspective that is other than whatever perspective I'm in, that is the unpreferred frequency.
Yeah, that's huge. That's really big. And like,
Mhm.
you can see when you speak about that, just to put it out there for these tips where we're getting into, taking self accountability is far greater and more selfish, which I'll get to in a second, than taking accountability for everyone else's thoughts around you and what you should be.
Mhm.
Now, that level of separation and perception and shift right there can create a deeply, deeply harmonizing field and experience for anybody. We're all the same, so we all have this capability. And that ties back into what Alecia said. Like, free will is a sovereign gift. Can't be taken. It can be abused and it can be suppressed, but it can't be taken. So at any point, you can just get up and you can be selfish and take that accountability through your own integrity and reshift yourself and recenter to whatever it is that you need to. What does that look like for me as a self-mastery experiencer of life, co-creating with others? Being aware of the field. How do I stay aware of the field? Through my feelings. Those are my navigational guides. You could call them my senseis if you want, because we have 5 senses naturally here already. We know that. We use them moment to moment, moment to moment. But we also have the faculty of those 3 higher senses that we don't see and that is of space, time, and motion, which we're all deeply familiar with. And by tying into these 8 together, you can create a heightened perception of what's occurring for you, and that can alleviate a lot of pressure. And as someone who's come from a deep background of military through to other events in my life, and then getting to this state of being, that simply looks like just taking a breath, staring at the sun, capturing a picture of the sun to share with my social medias. And that really shifts me into a new dynamic, because you move out of taking things on to giving things. And when you're in a state of giving rather than receiving, it is a lot more peaceful naturally. We all know that. So that would probably be my tip. Give more, but don't give too much that you create a state of burnout again. Do it from a place of integrity with accountability to self-awareness.
Beautiful. I love that.
And that goes to staying in the flow as well, right? Because like he's saying, you know, don't give to the point of burnout, which means be self-aware and understand when you're in a state of flow that says, hey, it's time for you to take a nap. Hey, Max and I were talking about that just before. Like sometimes, guys, it is just time for you to take a nap. And it's okay for you to give yourself that permission slip to take a nap.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you have to just do that, if you have to moment, sometimes give yourself a little permission slip, whatever it may be, you know, even if, you know, put on a song that you like to listen to, take a moment to go like get that coffee and don't feel guilty about it, whatever you're doing, right? Or do take the nap and don't feel like it's not okay just because you're not in kindergarten and don't have a chocolate milk anymore. Like you can still do that.
Good point. But I mean, as an adult, I love chocolate milk, so I'll take the chocolate milk.
Oh, I do too. No, don't, like I would take the chocolate milk in the nap, obviously.
Right.
Perfect.
Yes, do what brings you joy. And sometimes, you know, take the nap and sometimes sleep in a little bit, you know, if you are able to, depending on your commitments and, you know, what you've got coming up. But I guess really at the end of the day, it comes down to priorities and, you know, noticing with that self-awareness that Murray's talking about, noticing, you know, what you do that does bring you more peace, or what you're doing in your life that doesn't bring you peace. And depending on how you want to live your life, it's really up to us, right, as to how we're going to do life in any moment or any day. And, you know, regardless of others maybe freaking out around us or whatever's going on around us, the things we can't control, you can control how you show up in your paradigm or with your frequency. And of course, frequency, you know, where I love Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness. And, you know, for anyone who doesn't know about that talks about how we, you know, Dr. Hawkins is a psychiatrist from America that did a lot of scientific study into energy centers and found we were, you know, 99.9% energy frequency and vibration. When we have different emotions, we're vibrating at different frequencies. And when I say peace, you know, what brings you peace? Peace is one of the highest vibrations you're going to feel. It's one of the most elevated and expanded, if you look at a funnel, experiences we'll feel. Above that is actually enlightenment. So 600 hertz we're vibrating at when we're at peace. Enlightenment is 700 hertz plus. Now, love and above is a beautiful thing, a beautiful experience for most people. Love is at 528 hertz. Joy and gratitude are at 540 hertz. So that's generally the area that I aim to play in. I like to live my life around those frequencies. However, there are times when, you know, as human beings, we go up and down in general with the human experience where we have very contracted states. And our lowest vibration and frequency is actually 20 hertz is shame, when we have shame. And then we have guilt at 30 hertz. And then we have, you know, above that, we've got fear at 100 hertz. We've got your anger is 150 hertz. And, you know, these kind of vibrations, when we feel it, we, you know, generally there's some kind of learning when we come into these states where there's some kind of stuckness or some kind of like feeling, not nice feeling in the body. And we know from Dr. Emoto's work with water molecules and, you know, putting vibrations into water of love and anger and what we can see that you get different fractal patterns, you get different, you know, energy that happens within the body with 70% water. And as we speak to ourselves or as we experience these different frequencies, we're going to change our molecular structure in our body, whether we're conscious or not conscious of it. And this is where I actually really don't like experiencing things like anger, for example, right? And I've suppressed anger, and for years I've had depression because I've suppressed the anger. However, it's also important, I think, to release it without hurting anybody else at the same time. So I think, and there's learning, some of the biggest breakdowns can lead to the biggest breakthroughs. And I do believe everything happens for a reason, or a reason, a season, or a lifetime, they say, and there's always learnings to be had, but it's a matter of, are we actually open to the learnings and to, seeing what are the challenges that come into our life, or that we put on ourselves, even the challenges that we create, and how can we shift that in a more positive light. And I find generally in my life, I found that when I've seen the learning from the challenge, the minute I've got the learning, that I'm able to then shift it, and I get that self-awareness. Oh, okay, I'm vibrating at a really stuck state right now. I'm getting very frustrated right now. And okay, let's move that into a more peaceful state, because we can't change the past. As much as we may have guilt, regret, shame, anger, or whatever about the past, we cannot change any of the past. As Murray was saying, back to the present moment, right? All we have is now. And so then there's this fine balance of, okay, we want something for the future. We set goals, for example, right? We set goals around certain things, and that's in the future. But what we do now can lead to, having those goals manifest faster for ourselves or not. So let's talk about the paradigm of, being in the present moment and having goals and playing with that, yes, I want to achieve something, in whether it's whatever area of life it's in. It might be in, with family, with health, with finance, with business, whatever it is, whatever area of life you're playing with, that you set some goals in, and then being in the present moment powerfully to then have those goals happen for you. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I'll just take off on that, because I think what you shared there in that perspective and adding that in was really important, because it plays into the spiral of what people can consciously understand as we continue this conversation today. We're all human beings, and we have that general awareness. So we are constantly in the field, observing, listening, and absorbing to make sense of the data, the information that wants to enter through to be received and felt. And I think it's really important that you say that, because these lower feelings, frequencies on the scale of chart, however you want to view it, are no less important than joy, gratitude, love. And they come back into what Haleigh mentioned earlier about the unconditionality of your experience and allowing things to be rather than fighting it. Because if you're at the low end of the scale at 20 and you're feeling shame for something that you did and you didn't honor an agreement or took accountability, or you let yourself down, and you fight that thinking you're going to rise back up into gratitude, I promise you, when you get up into the joy, you're going to get pulled back down just as quick, because that's spiral dynamics, and that is a part of this human experience. So finding unconditionality is actually probably the greatest perspective to have for yourself when moving through things, because it keeps you in what we're here today to talk about, the flow state, and how to double down on that flow state. And that looks different for every one of us, as we've just discovered here. So to go off that and go into the other side of that, the flip side, it is no different, because when we're planning goals, when we're actuating, when we're imagining, and when we're manifesting through co-creation, we're moving towards the future now, the moments we haven't exceeded or experienced yet. And if you compact, like this is from experience, if you compact and compound on that too much and accelerate too far ahead, you are out of the present moment, and you will experience a level of anxiety, a level of unbalance at some point. And so it is a constant balance of coming back to the present moment, being aware that you're still moving forward and you haven't lost that speed or residual energy, and then allowing it to go back to the other side and say, well, I need to move through this, because as I get closer to this, I need to be able to transmute and let this go through the natural practices that I discovered for myself. So that would be my total advice towards that, because I hear that for myself. I don't hold myself too accountable for goals, because things change, and that's staying in the flow state.
Yes, beautifully said.
Sure,
would you like to add? Or Haleigh? Yep.
Well, I just, I know a lot of the things we talk about on a practical level kind of stymie some people, as you talk about frequencies and these kind of being in the present moment. Like it can start to sound wooey woo to some people, and we understand that, and we're not going to try to argue with you on it, because that would be going against the flow. Feel however you feel about it. But just for a little bit, maybe more of sort of a practical way to look at it, like what's coming up for me is, as Alden, you and Marie were both speaking, was my friend Lonnie Ray, and a thing that she would say frequently when it would come to these kinds of things. Like, if there is something that you feel stuck on, or if there is something you're unpreferred in your frequency, in your experience, if you ask yourself the question, do I want more of this or do I want less of it? Well, if you want less of it, choose that different frequency. And it looks different for everyone. Again, what looks like that 30 hertz for Aldwin, for Alecia, for Murray, for Haleigh is going to be a different thought frequency, right? Not all thought frequencies equate to the same emotional output for every person, right? Like, you could have a thought about the color red, and for someone that might strike some kind of emotion for them, and for other people it might be nothing. It does again come back to that self-awareness. What do I prefer to feel in this now moment? And I know a lot of people, when you talk about manifestation and sort of finding the frequency of the dream fulfilled, the desire fulfilled, it starts to sound like just living in imagination and not actually, doing anything in the present moment. But it does become, like what Maria is saying, a guidance for you. Follow the emotions you feel when you have a thought process, when you have an opportunity come up, when you have a choice to make in the day. Where are you going to go eat lunch? Anything simple. When you think about how you feel about taking that next action, does it feel like the frequency you want to experience? Or does it feel like something you want less of? Okay, well, then that's not the action to take. Whether anyone around you, whether society, whether the ticker tape in your head that runs that task list and the things that you're supposed to do agrees with it, that's not what matters. What matters is that intuitive sense that only you can define for you. Again, 30 hertz is a different kind of thought wave from Aldwin, from Alecia, from Murray, from Haleigh. Know yourself and be present with yourself. I think a lot of times when you talk about the present moment, staying in the present moment, people think to be present with their external reality, right? What's in my present moment, in my sensory. And that can help to sort of calm your thoughts. But what is really important is to be present with yourself, your emotions, your frequency. What am I feeling right now? Is it what I prefer to feel? If it isn't, then either my thought process, my action, or my next step that I think I'm taking isn't the right one. And this is where you have to really give yourself that permission slip to take a pause and to let yourself allow the next in alignment to you step to take. And again, sometimes that is just taking a nap. Let yourself do it.
All about that, Haleigh. Yes. I was going to say, speaking of goals and exactly the subject that we're speaking on, coming into this meeting, Haleigh and Murray, for the first time as individuals, we all had different goals coming into this and working together. But now, looking at the full circle, what I've learned from Murray and Haleigh as their amazing selves and staying present, but also managing those, some people call it like unrealistic goals of like, traveling the world or becoming a millionaire and stuff like that. My goals definitely have changed from, from the first surface level to expanding on more of the goal of the frequency. I never thought in 1,000 years we would be the three musketeers, as we call ourselves, is like us deconstructing outdated businesses, identity, and leadership paradigms and creating so aligned alternatives. I never thought that would be a goal that I can check off my checklist of like, we're actually out there changing lives. We're actually out there healing people. We're actually out there giving people an outlet or a platform to learn about shifting a paradigm or, leaderships into the new paradigm, into the new ecosystem that we're creating together. So to look at it from a full circle, um, I would say my advice to the audience would be don't take anything too personally, especially when people are dealing with human emotions. And we're just lucky to have adopt how to regulate those emotions and adopt different practices. And also, I would say trust into your intuition. As women, we have a very, very powerful intuition. What our gut and our feeling is telling us, definitely follow that feeling between our heart, our head, and our gut. The gut has guided me into what I'm building today and guided me to mirror and healing what we're creating today and influencing and also, influencing other people to do the same as well. So I would say that would be the best advice to give people out there when it comes to trying to accomplish those goals, but also um, accomplish them with a type of entitlement of like, this is who I am, this is who I'm showing to the world. Let me attract that energy so I can complete that goal, whatever that goal may be, if it's big or small.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for all you've shared. There's absolute gold in all of that. And, I was thinking as you were chatting about something called ikigai. And ikigai is a beautiful thing because a lot of people, I find nowadays they don't have much clarity in their life, or they've got so many things going on that it becomes very challenging for people to focus on what they want to do with their lives, or are they on the right path for themselves, etc. And I love this ikigai. It's a Japanese concept that refers to having a worthwhile purpose in life, or a reason for being, having a reason for being. And it combines, so iki means meaning life, and gai means meaning, value, or worth. And this signifies what makes life meaningful and enjoyable. And there's 4 key elements to finding your ikigai, or finding your life's purpose in life, or your reason for being. And it talks about with ikigais, firstly, identifying your passions. What do you love to do, and what activities make you lose track of time? And we know that when we're operating in the heart chakra and above, or in the heart chakra, time and space disappear, right? And I find often with what I'm doing in life, I find that I lose track of time, all the time. It's a very common thing for me, which is one of my ongoing challenges, is losing track of time, because I'm often in that, passionate heart space. So what is that for you? What do you love to do? What activities make you lose track of time? So first, identify your passions. Second, recognize your skills. What are you good at, and what talents do you possess? Okay, number 2. Number 3 is consider what the world needs. How can you contribute to something larger than yourself? Or how can you get paid for what you do, right? The next one is finding the intersection of that, considering what the world needs. Where do your passion, skills, and the world needs overlap? And then as a bonus, embracing the journey, finding your ikigai as a process, not a destination, enjoying the journey of self-discovery, enjoying the journey with all its ups and downs and rounds and rounds, and really getting present to where are you? Do you want to feel more of that, as you mentioned? Am I feeling in a way that I really want to feel right now, without shaming yourself or blaming yourself or whatever? It's just actually taking 100% responsibility for, okay, I'm feeling crap right now. Okay, I'm feeling really low energy, whatever. I just maybe the best thing for me is to now go and have a bath, or go and, for a walk around the block, or connect with nature. What was that, Murray?
Or have a nap.
Yeah, or have a nap. Yeah, what is that for you? Or is it to eat some nutritious food, or is it to have some water? It's amazing, just having some water can instantly lift your energy. Often people are very dehydrated. You think we need 2 to 3 liters of water a day. Most people probably only drink 1, if that. And just having water can instantly lift your energy as well. So how do you want to do life? What kind of world do you want for yourself, regardless of what's going on in the world around us? And this is also, your environment at the same time is very important. Like, the 3 of you coming together and holding each other up as a frequency facilitators, you've got this beautiful connection, and you hold each other up, and having a great environment around you, I think, is absolutely crucial. And noticing, are the people around you, are they putting you down, or are they bringing you up? Are you feeling uplifted by the people around you, or are you feeling like you're being put down constantly? And if you're being put down constantly, then, taking 100% responsibility that you're making a choice to be there with that person right now. And sometimes these people are family members, right? And, we might love them as family members. However, maybe you don't want to hang out with them so much, right? So then we limit our time with those family members, and just get also that hurt people hurt people. It's one of my favorite sayings. Hurt people hurt people. people, and healed people heal people. If someone's being nasty, it's not about you. It says more about them if they're being nasty, and you do not need to take it on board. And this is where having a strong energy field, and of course you're the love Reiki guy there, Murray, and you guys all know about energy and frequency. Protecting yourself from negative energies, I think, is really important. So let's talk about that. What are some ways that you protect your energy from, you know, other sort of negative forces or entities even? You know, there is a lot of evidence out there of other entities, of dark entities sometimes, you know, people feeling possessed or whatever. I mean, this isn't just in movies. This happens in real life. So thoughts around that?
First two things that come up for me, I just have to just get it out of me because I'm just buzzing to get it out. Thanks, ladies. Is to maybe have a reminder that I'll just start with the sentence. Human being. First and foremost, human being. Not animal being, not building being, not action being, human being. So anybody can define that in whatever relativeness that they need to. That'll be first and foremost. And to remember that it's your experience as a human being. So it is your responsibility at some level to create shift and to become aware. I think it's easy to give advice, and I think it's easy to stake claim in what can work and what can't work. But again, there's 8 billion of us, essentially, plus on this planet at this point in time, all perceiving from a different perspective. So trusting and allowing for the truth that each individual is doing the best that they can with what they know in the moment definitely alleviates the pressure and brings you back to unconditionality if you're dealing with family members, co-workers, or environments that you've placed yourself in for greater experience to learn from. And that brings me to what I would just leave for people, and it would be fundamentally how I serve myself. I do believe that the first part of your life, whatever that is, that length, is figuring out who you are and what you're about, which ties into that proverb. And the second part is learning how to give it away.
Yes.
So I would like to add that.
Yes, there's no greater purpose than being of service, they say. And when you give, it always comes back tenfold, at least not necessarily from the people you give to, and not that you give to receive, but that's just how the universe works. It's a law of reciprocity, right? And, you know, look up universal laws of life, law of attraction. There's so many laws of life. In fact, I will look them up and share with you shortly. But yeah, I love that. Human being. We are human beings. How are you being right now? What is your paradigm of being right now?
We are human. Well, yes, human beings capable of doing, not human doings capable of being, right?
Yes.
Like, it's again that sort of priority, like shift to where you would prefer to be. And I'm looking at your Ikigai sort of information. One of the things that was coming up for me when you talked about that was, yes, think about the things that you are good at, but realize that just because you're good at it doesn't mean that that's what you have to do. Like, think also really about, what are you really curious about? What are you really interested in? What are you really willing to devote yourself to? It might because that's another part of the flow state. Sometimes you master a skill, sometimes you master an ability, and it no longer holds the same kind of thrill for you that maybe it used to. So allow yourself to shift into something else. Where is your energy now? Allow that to just shift itself. And then the other thing that was coming up, you know, when you're mentioning service, I mean, this is something that sometimes Murray and I have some, you know, different kind of definitions on service and sacrifice, right? And what I'm thinking of is, like, a couple of years ago, I started doing this thing in the morning because of something someone had said about being of service. Like, how can I be the reason someone is grateful today, right? And I said that one morning, and I had this fish tank in my garage that I wasn't using, that I didn't want, that I was like annoyed with myself that I hadn't taken it to Goodwill yet to get rid of it, right? Like, it was one of those things. It was just like taking up space. On one of those mornings when I asked that question, how can I be the reason someone is grateful today? My cousin called me up and said, hey, I have this friend whose fish tank is leaking and they need a new one. Their fish are going to, like, they have their fish in bowls. It's like, it's a problem. Their carpet's a mess. They're like, they need a fish tank right now. Like, I know you have that one in the garage. Like, would you be able to lend that to? I'm like, they can have it. I've been meaning to get rid of it. Like, if they're willing to come and get it, they can have it. And it was like, I was happy. I got a thing that out of my garage that I didn't want anymore. They were happy. They got a free fish tank that they could deal with this problem right away. And it was sort of a demonstration from the universe, if you will, that being of service doesn't always mean sacrifice. If you believe in a truly loving universe, the universe is going to find a way for you to be of service that is your highest joy, that makes you feel like the best version of yourself. Because when you are that best version of yourself and you enjoy being of service, that is when you are of the highest service. That's when you provide the highest frequency while you take whatever action it is that you are doing to be of service. So I do think sometimes there is that, again, shifting a paradigm. To be of service does not necessarily mean you need to give up something that feels not resonant to you to give up. If it feels resonant to you to give that up, the universe is going to orchestrate it so that it fits perfectly with whosoever needs it, right? And it's going to be something that uplifts you and them, because if you're doing something where it uplifts one and then takes someone else down to the same degree, that's a zero-sum game. You don't get anywhere with that. There's no evolution to be had there. It's the upliftment of any parties involved, right? And that's, as frequency facilitators, that's where we're at. We want upliftment and harmony for everyone involved, because we know that that is available and possible.
Yeah, to bounce off what Haley's saying, it's kind of like, if we don't help ourselves, how do we expect to help others in return? So that brings me to what I'm channeling is like, what does the world need from us? Well, the world needs to heal because, you building your global brand, Aldrin, you know exactly what's going on in the world internationally and domestically at the moment. But what the world needs from us is opening up the playing field of the frequency facilitators, but also this new ecosystem that we are collectively building together and with our individual brands, your businesses, whatever what we're passionate about. People are seeing us, people are interested, people are asking questions. There's people out there that want to heal as well. So the more that we are putting this information out there and attracting those types of questions or people that are interested into learning more about, what we're doing it, how we're doing it, but channeling the I would say the highest version of ourselves to provide that value towards the masses, especially with social media today. I would say the biggest question is, what does the world need from us and what do we need from the world to all co-create and, create this new shift forward? Of course, it may take, probably a couple of generations to get to that whole world peace type of situation, but we're slowly, I would say slowly in some worlds and rapidly in other worlds, working towards this peaceful paradigm of which I'm really excited and looking forward to.
Yes, love that. And I'll pop those Ikigai questions up there again. So 1, what are we passionate about? 2, what are we good at or better than others at, or that people notice that they say we're good at it? 3 is, what does the world need from us? And 4, what is the value of this, as in what are people willing to pay for as an energy exchange for that service or whatever it is you offer? Yes, I think that's absolutely gold. And, being conscious and noticing what people are asking of you, because if people are asking something of you, that means you have some value there to give that you could actually turn into potentially a course or a program or be a mentor in that area. What is it? What sort of questions are people asking you about? And, you might think, oh, surely everyone knows this, but often we're too close to what we do to realize sometimes the value of what we do. And this is where actually just, taking a moment to sort of just say, oh, that's interesting, that person asked that question. I wonder if I could, create a live video around that or share about that or create a program around that, and have something that you package up and organize in a way that people will want to pay for that thing. And that's a beautiful way you can then blend your passion with your passions with actually making it sustainable for yourself, and not just having yourself a job. Some people say it stands for just over broke when you have a job, versus having a lifestyle that you love and something that you get paid very well for as well, and being open to receiving that. I think that's very, very important. Now, I mentioned earlier the 12 universal laws. I just want to mention these because I think these are absolutely brilliant. The first one is the law of divine oneness, that everything is connected. 2 is the law of vibration, that everything has a unique vibrational frequency. 3 is law of attraction. What is like unto itself is drawn. 4, law of correspondence, as above, so below. 5 is law of action. Manifestation requires aligned action. 6 is the law of cause and effect. Every action has a consequence. Number 7, law of compensation. We are rewarded for right action, for the right action for us. Number 8, law of perpetual transmutation of energy. Energy is always moving and always changing. Number 9 is law of relativity. It's all relative. Number 10 is the law of polarity. There are 2 sides to everything, the dark and the light, yin yang. Number 11 is the law of rhythm. Nothing is permanent. The law of rhythm, that's the up and down, right? And number 12 is the law of gender. Manifestation requires a balance of energies of the feminine and masculine, etc. Right? Aren't they beautiful universal laws? I absolutely love those, and I'll share them now. Out of those ones I mentioned, which one or ones really stood out for you out of those 12 universal laws?
I was going to say, I was going to toss it over to Murray because those are like those 12 universal laws. That's all in your wheelhouse,
right? He's all about that one.
I genuinely, just for the audience here, thank you, Alban, and just for the audience, being my own perspective here of embodiment, I don't refer to them or label them or title them as laws, as the correspondence between that energy and the old paradigm of that word and how it was used and how we agreed upon that collectively doesn't serve what I believe they are, which is guardrails. I do not believe that we would be involved in an experience as humans and conditioned at the same time. That defeats the purpose of unconditionality and the love of the creator, the source, the being of allness that has provided and created this opportunity, being each of us as collective fractals of self. So that brings me back to the micro and the macro of that relationship. And probably the biggest one is just the first one, the law of one.
Law of divine oneness. Yes.
It is good to remember that everything is connected when you are trying to get yourself out of those lower frequency vibrations that we did talk about. I mean, one of the things that I think of, and it's from one of my favorite romance movies, Amax, like back me up here on P.S. I Love You. P.S. I Love You.
Oh, classic rom-com.
Right. But at the end, one of the things that Kathy Bates says, the mom character, is if we're all alone, we're together in that too. So even when you're feeling like you're all alone, well, guess what? Everyone's had that feeling before at some point or another. Right. So even when you're feeling the most disconnected from the oneness that we all are, you're still connected to the oneness in the fact that you are not the only one who has felt that. And it's good to remember that, I think, sometimes, especially in this world where we can be sort of trained to be very disconnected from one another for various different reasons. We are in a very busy kind of world. But again, give yourself that permission slip to pause, and whatever it is you're feeling or experiencing, you're not the only one. You are together with many others who might be feeling disconnected or alone. And I think that, that law of oneness, sometimes it can be something confronting if you are someone who is already feeling disconnected, right? Like I've been there myself. I understand that. So I get when they say the law of oneness and you can like automatically want to reject it, but again, sorry, go for it, Max.
No, I was going to say, I feel like we all been there, and I feel like that's one of the things that kind of brought us together, where we don't feel alone anymore. The fact that we are the Three Musketeers and we are creating amazing things together and as individuals. But I feel like ever since we found each other, it has been a really fulfilling moment of I'm not alone. I have a support system. We have a support system outside of all this, outside of social media. And one thing that is attracting me about the laws is the law of the what is it? Law of action law and cause and effect law. There's always a cause and effect to everything, right? So me hopping on LinkedIn, putting myself out there, networking, that was the effect of meeting Haleigh, and then the trickle down of her introducing me to Murray, and then now we're here as the frequency facilitators. So I believe there's a connection in all the laws, but not so close in, more of keeping an open mind of the laws and how they interact or intertwine with each other, and just staying in that flow state of being open to putting yourself out there and attracting your tribe or attracting your community where you feel welcome, where you do not feel alone. There's people out there that will accept you, whatever state that you're in. We are human beings, and there's people out there like Mira that have the patience, that has the work, that has done the work, that helped me do the work to be my amazing self every day. So I really appreciate the team here and are calling ourselves the frequency facilitators, because where we were months ago, where we are now, has been an amazing progress, not just for me as an individual, but also for Mary and Haleigh as well. I don't want to speak on your behalf, but I'm proud of both of you guys, and you guys are an inspiration. So I appreciate you guys so much.
Vice
We
versa.
appreciate you,
Oh,
Amax. You're
man.
the best. We
Yeah.
love
And I
you
take
so
it back
much.
just for the audience, because that was a real time. That was a real time there. So this is a great lesson for all of us to learn from. I actually would like to change my original selection and go to I prefer the law of rhythm, because the law of rhythm reminds me of the law of acceptance, which is my natural state of being, and that's going with the flow and allowing things to be as they are and not challenging that. Finding the adversity and the love and the compassion within that to accept it, experience it, and embody it.
Yeah.
Yes, I love
I
that. Yes,
I
Haleigh?
do have to say, no, I was just going to say, Murray Angel is just so very good at that, just unconditionally loving every part of this
Yes.
human experience. And
Appreciate you,
I just,
man.
right, big props to you. And Amax, you're such a great frequency holder when it comes to that positivity and that upliftment. Like, there is always a way to get to that higher level, and you believe in that so much. So I just want to give some love bubbles to my teammates just for a hot second
Aw,
there.
appreciate you, girlfriend.
Haleigh, Alecia, you must say something, because Haleigh, being the creative director of this experience and this traverse three-way friendship we've built here, being paradigm players and shifting those through our frequency, you bring an immense creative sense of imagination, which ties into one of the most fundamental things this planet exists for. Why we're even here, curiosity. And without that, I believe this experience has so much more against it. And I've learnt that through you, with my time with you. Curiosity has allowed me to shape and shift and play in this playground as the human being I am. It's allowed me to redefine condition and limitation to unconditionalness and unlimitedness. And when you put those two together, life really does become your oyster. You really do become the pearl of your own existence. And Alecia, the fortitude you show towards working with people, listening, the ability to absorb and listen and hear others, is a clear reminder of why this experience, it matters so much as well. Because without hearing and being connected to others, there is no cause and effect. You're just stuck in your own individualism. And we recognize that now as ego. And as we grow, we are moving away from that towards more collective harmony. So it's just a deep honor to know these two ladies, to serve beside them, and to share anything that we co-create together.
Oh,
Aw, you guys are getting
it's
me emotional.
so beautiful.
It's so much love.
As you were sharing all this love, it was really interesting, because I was just about to chat about 5 love languages, which is another paradigm, because these really are all paradigms, right? 12 universal laws, the ikigai. These are things that people have made up, right? Human beings have made up this stuff, and we've either taken it on board as gospel, kind of like the Bible, that was written by certain people, right? As an example, I mean, all religions were written by people. and, they might have been based on spirituality or whatever. But, at the end of the day, everything that we're consuming right now has been created by someone, by a human being, has created some kind of, ideology or some thoughts. And 5 love languages, I love. We can take it on board or not take it on board. But what I was just seeing beautifully happen right now was words of affirmation. Beautiful words of affirmation, which is one of the love languages that was created. The words and Gary Chapman is the author of the book The 5 Love Languages, and the other love languages are acts of service, doing things for others as a way of showing love. Receiving gifts or giving gifts is another love language. Quality time is another one, and physical touch. And often you'll find in relationships when there's a misalignment, it's often that people's love languages are different. And so someone might be doing lots of things for someone else in their life that might be, that their love language usually then is acts of service. But for the person that they're doing lots of things for, that person might just want some physical touch, or they might just want some more quality time. And so if you find you're with people in your life that say, I just want more time with you, then obviously that is their high love language. If you look at that paradigm of the 5 love languages, which I find absolutely gold, and take it or leave it, there's probably many more ways we show love other than just those 5 love languages. However, that is another paradigm, and I saw beautifully here words of affirmation. And for a lot of people who do podcasts, words of affirmation are a huge one, because we work in the world of words. So what are your thoughts around the 5 love languages, guys?
Love all the love languages. But,
I do too, right? Like, I don't want to leave any of them off the table, right? Enjoy all of them.
Exactly.
Under the table, push them onto the table, spread them out.
I would say for me, the way that I show love, or the way that I show up for my partners, my friendships, I would say acts of service. And I love to give. Like, I'm a big gift giver or an experience giver. Or if I hear someone say, oh, I like that, I want to experience that, I will take it upon myself to make it happen for that person, because the love is there, right? So I would say that's the way that I would show up and show love to others. And then for myself, I would say words of affirmation. Words of affirmation and acts of service would be the way that I like to be loved and I like to be valued in partnerships, friendships, and even with family. So I would say those two definitely intertwine together. But as a certified lover girl myself, I love love, and I love the idea of love, and
Certified lover
yes,
girl.
and the trust and the bond that we create. Right? The
Yes,
trust and
girl.
bond that we create with humans and partnerships and
Stamp of
relationships.
approval.
And as we're aging, progressing as humans, those change, those passions change, those relationships change. But the relationship that I built with Haleigh and Murray, that's for life, man. We're going to be together until we're old and wrinkly, sitting in our spaceships or wherever we're going to be in the future.
In our geodesic floating dome cities above the atmosphere of Venus is what we're going to be doing.
See, and this is why we have Haleigh.
I'm on it. Don't worry.
Yeah, I love it. And we've got lots of people who've joined us here. Mark R. Davis says, universal gift, all you need is love. I love that song, actually.
Yes.
At 11:11 my time, he put that there. Mark Davis, thank you for that at 11:11. Beautiful, my friend. We're going to come up to Toronto and hang out with you, our bestest friend up in Toronto. We're coming to see you, buddy.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I just thought of the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments in the Bible is another paradigm, right? The 10 Commandments, you shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make idols. You shall not make the name of the Lord your God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day, keep it holy, which is often Sunday for people. Honor your father and your mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor, and you shall not covet. That's the original 10 Commandments, right? And, some people live by those and some people don't. However, in general, I must say I really like the one, do not steal, do not commit adultery, do not murder. I think they're all very positive, peaceful.
Yes, those are good ones.
Commandments in general. Oh, yes, the Beatles, Mark Davis says. The Beatles, of course. Yes, thank you so much. Corinda says, Corinda, good to see you. Corinda also does a podcast. So he says, wow, here at the beginning there. Thank you, Corinda. Good to see you. So does this mean disability would have the same? I think that's something we mentioned earlier. So I think when we're talking about ikigai, you mentioned that, Corinda. So around the area of disability, I know Corinda works a lot with the neurodivergent sector. And yes, I think if you're, particularly gifted in that area around disability, then absolutely you could make that part of your mission and passion. We have Kai Ashani Stone. Hello there. Hello,
Kai.
What's up, Kai? Thanks for dropping in, sis. We appreciate you.
Mhm.
And I saw my friend Chris in the comments. Got to throw a shout out to my friend Chris. Hi, Chris. What's up?
Hey, Chris.
Chris Binder, Haleigh, my awesomeness friend. Thank you. See you there. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, we've got Kason Lee here. How powerful is the AM vibration? The OM. I think you mean OM vibration.
Just as equally as important as the OM. OM and OM come together to make OM, which is mum and dad, masculine and feminine traits, as we know as humans.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kason Lee. Hello from Sri Lanka, all the way from Sri Lanka. Great to have you with us.
Love it.
Thank you so much. We are coming to the end of our show shortly. Kai says, love you guys. Oh, that's nice. Kai. Thank you so much. Thank you. So beautiful to have all this love in the room here today. Now, our topic, of course, on this amazing Media Queen TV episode, frequency facilitators, launched today, playing with paradigms. Anything else we want to share about paradigms before we start wrapping up the show? The importance of conscious to your paradigm, perhaps.
Yes. I did just want to tap back into what you were saying about no matter what paradigm you're choosing, whether it's the commandments or universal laws or love languages, they're all made up by us humans. So the thing to remember at the end of the day, like Alecia was saying and Murray does say all the time, is that you have the free will to make up new paradigms whenever it is in your flow state and in your resonant best interest to do so. You are one of the quotes that I have shared before, you're under no obligation to be the person that you were 5 minutes ago, Alan Watts, and you're not. So yeah, that's what I would say about those frequencies and that paradigm or idea of paradigms. You get to shift those at any time because we're the ones who made them all up in the first place.
Exactly. Great point, Haleigh. That was beautifully well said.
Thank you, Amen.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I think for me, personal development has been absolutely massive because, I'm a completely different human being, I feel now, to how I was 20 years ago. Now I've invested, over $1 million in my business and personal development in that time, and I continue to invest because we never learn less. And I think we're constantly teaching each other and learning at the same time with everyone around us. And to fast track your results in life, it's important to have mentors, I believe, who can help you fast track your results, and also to make the time to do the inner work. And I've done everything from hypnosis, NLP. I've done, Landmark was transformational for me. And I remember in Landmark Worldwide, if you look up landmarkworldwide.com, one of the foundational things in Landmark, they talk about when you do the Landmark Forum, they talk about life is like a blank canvas, and life is empty and meaningless, and it's empty and meaningless that it's empty and meaningless. And so in effect, actually, we have a blank canvas in front of us. We're all born with this blank canvas, right? And we then have experiences, and the experiences we give meaning to, right, with everything that happens around us. There's an experience that happens, something happens, we give it meaning. Something happens, we give it meaning, right? And so we're meaning-making machines. And the minute we get conscious to the meaning that we give all the things in our life, whether they're empowering or disempowering meanings that we give to things, the sooner we can shift it. And, Landmark for me was one of the foundational, pivotal programs that helped me see blind spots that I didn't see, where I was limiting myself, where it was like I had the accelerator on with one foot and then the brake on with the other foot. And this is sometimes how we do life. Is like, I really want this result, but then I'm stopping it here because I've got some subconscious belief that I'm not good enough, or I don't belong, or whatever it is, or I'm not loved, right? They're the three biggest things: not good enough, don't belong, are not loved. They're the three biggest things that block people. And often they stem from experiences we've had in the past. And it's actually getting conscious to, okay, what are the things that might be blocking me from being fully present, from living a fully empowered life? What are the things that might be blocking me that I can personally take 100% responsibility for and shift? Because if we don't take 100% responsibility, then we're below the line, we're blaming, we're shaming, we're, feeling bad about things. And when we're in that stuck energy, we're not going to be able to really impact change until we move out of that stuck energy, whatever that's going to take for us. And of course that stuck energy is important at times because we need to get the learnings to then be able to move out of that stuck energy. So it's all, as Murray was saying earlier, this whole Dr. Hawkins scale of consciousness, which you can see in the Conscious Community Global Facebook group. By the way, I've put the image in there. You can have a look at that, and it's in my Linktree /Aldwin. You'll see the link to that. That in that funnel of life, that it's contracted states, and these actually all link to our states, our beta states, alpha states of how we operate as well, which is very interesting. The contracted energy versus the expanded energy, and it's all a choice, moment by moment, day by day, how we're going to navigate that, that roller coaster ride of life.
If I can I'm just being called to just jump in and kind of for the audience, bring in on the 100% responsibility angle. Remember that 100% responsibility does not mean that you punish yourself on behalf of the paradigms of others. 100% responsibility means that you take responsibility for your own free will, that you can send out a different resonance into the world. You do not have, taking responsibility doesn't mean I sit here in the lower vibrational states as a penance, as a punishment, as this is what I deserve in order to have those better states. No. You don't have to be, again, the person you were 5 minutes ago. Taking responsibility just means, like Alecia said, remembering, I have free will. I don't like this conversation that's happening. I'm not obligated to be here. I'm going to get up and move. I'm going to get up and leave. And I'm not going to judge myself for it. I'm just going to understand that this energy I'm in doesn't feel good. I'm going to remove myself of it because that's the next obvious thing to do. So, yeah, I was just being called to share because I know that in the energies that we live in this world, we can be very punishful of ourselves when we talk about responsibility.
Yes, and that just ties into my finishing as well. Sorry, Alban, I just wanted to also add to that as I'm receiving a channel for this. And it is just the simple fact that this is a human experience and it is an individual one to each of us. So throughout that, there is going to be states of the past. There's going to be states of the future, all which are no longer real. And through those paradigms, whether you're identifying in the past or future, there will be attachment. And the best way to alleviate that attachment, to come back to everything that we've spoken about here today, is presence. And you have free will. You have the gift of making choice. That is undeniably the greatest gift that we've ever been bestowed here or could ever receive here in this experience. And if you can attain even just a slice of that pie for yourself, everything that we've shared here today, that we embody, that we frequency outward, you're a part of that, collectively, individually. Thank you, Haleigh.
Yes, thanks for that message.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, and we can be really hard on ourselves. We're often the hardest on ourselves, and noticing when we're being hard on ourselves. Like, are you calling yourself an idiot? So many people say, oh, you're such an idiot, as a throwaway comment. Oh, I'm so stupid, I've done whatever, right? Like, notice those conversations and let them go. Let them go if you're having those conversations with yourself, because you've probably got enough people around you that are being hard on you. You don't need to be hard on yourself as well, right?
Absolutely.
Wherever you are is absolutely perfect in this human experience. And another thing with free will, we have creativity, right? What we're doing here is a beautiful creation. And I see Corinda earlier in the chat says, how would it be good for us to be a podcaster? I think what he's saying there is, how good would it be to be a podcaster? So, and I know Corinda does podcasts, and to do that for a living as part of your ikigai, that'd be cool, right? And a lot of people do it. Right. So it's definitely definitely possible to do podcasting for a living. And, you know, the thing is with whatever it is you choose to do, I want to stress the importance of being consistent and being committed to what you want, not attached to how it's going to look. It's another one of my favorite sayings, be committed, not attached. Now, in 2018, there were 50,000 podcasts, 500,000 podcasts worldwide in 2018. Now there's over 5 million podcasts. However, for a lot of people, they don't do more than 3 podcasts, and even less people do more than 10 podcasts. And so this is where, you know, having consistency with what you're doing is so important. Corinda's saying, how do you recommend the situation on robots? What
I'm going to recommend that you go check out the About Intelligence podcast and listen to all of the AI conversations and various different thoughts on that we are going to have.
Great idea, Haleigh.
And
Fantastic
just
idea.
do come hang out, because all will come hang out with us too for some of those.
Come join us for a chat, Corinda.
Yes, please. We could talk about AI, robots, what all that's going to look like.
Yes.
We'd love to have that conversation with you.
Yes, Corinda's very, very cool. Thank you, Corinda, for that. And he does a very cool Empowerment Extend podcast is his one. And I've been on that and had Corinda and Sarah on Media Queen TV as well, which has been really cool. So thank you there for joining us, Corinda. We are about to wrap up the show. So before we wrap up, we always ask our guests what is a favorite quote or motto that they live by or that they enjoy, as well as how can we connect with you. So let's go firstly to Alecia. What is a favorite quote or motto that you'd like to share with us?
Of course, this is a motto that I share to myself, as far as you don't need to hustle your way into alignment. You need to remember who you are when you came into this world, and to who you are now, or who you currently want to be, and how to get there towards your highest frequency or towards your higher self. Remember who you are. Think subconscious, conscious when you're dreaming. Put that into your mind and think about who I was before society influenced me to become this person currently. Who do I want to be and who do I want to become? But the first way to align is remember who you are. And I just want to share a second one very quickly. The frequency that we're speaking about, the frequency is a new currency, and we're the ones holding the bank. We are the bank. We are our own bank, and we're the ones that are holding the frequency to the new currency, to the new paradigm.
Yeah, I love that, Alecia. Beautiful. And for people who want to connect with you, where can they go?
I'm very active on LinkedIn and on YouTube, and under the Venora Effect, which is produced by Frankie's Podcast Network. So shout out to Haleigh. But reach out to me on the beacons on my Linktree, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Beautiful. And for those on the audio, that's beacons, beacons.ai/Venora is VYNORA. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Alecia. Amazing having you here today.
Thank you.
And Haleigh, what is your quote for us today?
I picked a Nikola Tesla quote for today. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Because Tesla had it figured out. Hold the frequency and the things will come to you. And connect with me on my Linktree. And also I am active on LinkedIn as well. Frankie's Podcast Network on YouTube. Just check us out, look us up, come hang out. And we're happy to facilitate any frequencies that you may be feeling are stuck. So if you would like to enlist the services of the frequency facilitators, reach out to any one of us. We are happy to negotiate whatever it is you may need.
Beautiful. Thank you, Haleigh. And that link there, go to Linktree / so that's linktr.ee/h.overseth, OVERSETH. Thank you so much, Haleigh. Amazing having you on as well. And now we'll go over to our beautiful Murray Angel. Murray, what's your quote for us today?
Beautiful. Thank you, Alvin. Amazing quotes, ladies. Really synthesized and compacted well. I'm sure they'll land exactly where they need to, like everything always does. So my quote for today is one of deep resonance to me, and I believe it will resonate deeply with the masculine qualities of this universe, both in the females and masculine and males of the collective. You are not the sum of your actions, but of your choices. And you have an endless and infinite amount of potential in your choices. So don't limit yourself. Don't define and don't condition yourself. And to add on to that, I just have a beautiful saying that I like to live by. And it's really this simple. Do things from love, not for love. From this state of separation, you will experience a new paradigm. Be the creator that you chose to come here to be. After all, you have free will. You can find me actively on everything from my website, www.lovereiki.com.au. You can also find me on pretty much every social media under Murray Angel or Love Reiki. You'll also find me hosting a variance of co-host and my own through About Intelligence under Frankie's Podcast Network, where we look forward to experiencing each and every one of you in the future. As paradigm facilitators and shifters, we look forward to finding new ways of being with all of you.
Thank you, Murray. That's great. And Love Reiki is spelled LOVEREIKI.com.au. Check out Murray's website and look these guys up online. You'll find them on all the main social medias. And my quote today is, if you want small changes in your life, work on your attitude. But if you want big and primary changes, work on your paradigm. Yeah. I love that one. And for those who want to connect with me, just hop along to my linktree/Aldwyn, linktr.ee/Aldwyn, ALDWYN. In there, you will find some free resources on my media website. I help you be seen, heard, and known through mass media exposure. So reach out if you want some support with that. And also packaging up your genius as well. I'm very good with that kind of stuff and branding, etc. Also, we have the Global Good News Challenge every single month. It's a free challenge and a way you can share gratitude and good news and lift your frequency to more of a place of joy, gratitude, and love and peace by getting into gratitude. So recommend check that out. All the details are at the top of the Global Good News Challenge Facebook page. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. That's what it looks like straight on the screen there, Aldwyn Alstonay Media Queen TV. We have thousands of videos in there and lots of inspiring and some great comedies and awesome resources in there too that I recommend you check out. Kaysen Lee saying, link to Murray's Reiki YouTube, please. What's your, do you have Reiki YouTube there?
Hang on, I'll get it and I'll pop it into the comments here for you.
Okay, beautiful. Thanks, Kaysen. All right, Haleigh's going to get onto that for you. All right, beautiful. So you find all the links there. The Conscious Community Global show is linked in there. Also, for those in the Sydney area, we have a launch of our Fear to Freedom book launch coming up July 26th. And July 24th, for people around the world, you can get a free download of the book. We're launching on Amazon. So keep tabs on our social media on that day for our Fear to Freedom book. We have 11 co-authors. Myself and Leanne have put this book together. So 13 of us all together sharing our Fear to Freedom stories and how we've gone from fear to freedom and the wisdom we've learned from that. They're really inspiring stories. We've got here Kai Ashani Stone. Amazing podcast, everyone. Thank you so much. Good show, Corinda there. Oh, good. Thank you there, Corinda. I will share it out always. Thank you so much. And yes, Corinda, Linktree is free. It's a great way to put all your links in the one place. Highly recommend that. And earlier on, we had Kai saying amazing reply. Thank you so much for whoever's reply that was. Mark Davis says, take care, everyone. Catch up soon. Beautiful. Any final words from our amazing guests today? It's been so great having you, Alecia, Maximo, Haleigh Overseth, Murray Angel. Any final words before you wrap up?
We love you, Aldwyn Alstonay, Mass Media Queen TV.
Love you, girl. Thank you so much for having us on your podcast. Thank you for your time. Thank you for having the frequency facilitators on here and spreading awareness, spreading the value. We really appreciate it, Aldwyn. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, Aldwyn. You have such a beautiful frequency and energy yourself, and we appreciate you holding down the fort over there in Australia. Just the media queen, indeed. We love you so much.
Oh, thank you. Oh,
Big
thank
love
you.
to you.
Love you guys. Love you guys.
Oh, you got it. There you go.
You got it. You got it.
So much. Thank you so much. That's really beautiful. really appreciate that. And, you know, here it is. You've heard it first here on Media Queen TV. We have launched the Frequency Facilitators, and you're going to see a lot more of these guys. They're absolutely awesome. Love you all so much. Alecia, Haleigh, Murray, thank you so much. And your podcast, amazing. Check all their podcasts out. Check all their links out. Let's stay connected. You are not alone, my friends. Here's to shifting your paradigm, shifting your life with the Frequency Facilitators, and more amazing Media Queen TV episodes coming up too. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a beautiful day or night wherever you are in the world. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, guys.